Before diving into this incredible story, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell. Every story here has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. Jade Washington pushed open the heavy metal door of the shooting range iron precision with a quiet familiarity, as if she were crossing the threshold of her own home. The acrid smell of burnt powder, mingled with the cold, metallic smell of weapons, caressed her nostrils, awakening a flood of buried memories. 5 long years had passed since she had touched a firearm. 5 years marked by pain, healing, and the enforced absence of the discipline that had shaped her existence. A former U.S. Army sniper, Jade still carried the invisible scars of her service, a wound in her right arm, a bitter reminder of a mission gone wrong. But it wasn't that wound that kept her away from shooting. It was the weight of the stares, the judgments, the heavy silences. Yet today, none of that could stop her. She walked into the lobby, her footsteps echoing softly on the cold concrete, and carefully placed her worn leather bag on the wooden counter. Behind her, Mike, the white manager in his 50s, looked up and recognized her immediately. His face lit up with a warm smile, mingled with a hint of surprise. "Jade Washington, is that you?" "It's been a while, hasn't it?" he said, his raspy voice betraying a shared past, but also a certain admiration mixed with astonishment. Jade met his frank gaze and replied in a calm, collected voice, full of determination, "Yes, Mike. I'm back." She felt in this simple exchange the recognition of her years of service, but also the weight of expectations, as if she had to prove, here and now, that she was not unknown, that she still deserved her place. No sooner had she taken her place on the firing line, setting up her sniper rifle with the precision and ritual of an expert, than the stares in the room grew heavier, more insistent. She felt piercing eyes resting on her, like silent judgments scrutinizing her from head to toe. 3 men, obviously young and confident, were whispering among themselves, casting mocking glances in her direction. The tallest, a broad-chested, square-jawed man, stood up, exuding an aura of raw arrogance. His name was Tyler Barnes. With a smirk, he approached her, his heavy footsteps almost defiant. "Hey, sweetheart, is this your first day here?" he said condescendingly, his voice laced with barely veiled contempt. "You look like you forgot how to hold a gun." Jade raised an eyebrow, a cold glint in her dark eyes. She wasn't fazed by his attitude, nor by the condescension in his voice. With quiet assurance, she replied, "No need for introductory exercises. I know what I'm doing." A throaty laugh escaped Tyler's lips. "Yeah, we'll see about that. We see shooters like you making fools of themselves around here a lot." Raucous, mocking laughter erupted around her, heavy with racist and sexist innuendo. The bursts of sound echoed like knives stabbing through the air, a clear attempt to unsettle her, to erase her. Jade felt her blood rise, a burning heat that wanted to assert itself in her veins, but she knew how to smother the flame. Military discipline wasn't just a habit. It was an armor she wore against hatred, against ignorance. Without a word, she placed her sniper rifle on the table with the delicacy of a practiced hand, slowly adjusted her rifle scopes, and took a deep breath, letting her breath become the rhythm of her concentration. The murmur of the stall's customers had died down. The scene seemed suspended in an almost palpable anticipation. Tyler, confident in himself, offered a challenge, his deep, provocative voice breaking the silence. 5 targets at 100 meters, shooting in under a minute. If you miss, you're out of here. The challenge hung in the air like a challenge, a public provocation. But Jade, unperturbed, nodded calmly. "Deal." The stopwatch on the wall lit up a vibrant red, the electronic ticking sounding like a grim metronome. A bullet smacked, whizzing through the air, hitting the first target dead center, bringing the cardboard silhouette down with perfect precision. 2 bullets, bursting with the same surgical precision, followed. 3, 4, 5. Each shot a masterstroke, a skill honed by years of training and mastery. The targets crumbled one by one, riddled with holes, the impacts a testament to relentless precision. As the last shot was fired, Jade slowly lowered her weapon, her dark eyes staring coldly at Tyler, defying the doubt in his gaze. "So," she asked, her voice calm and firm, leaving no room for argument. Tyler froze, opening his mouth, unable to formulate an immediate response. His gaze slid over the perforated targets, each hole perfectly aligned, a testament to a skill he hadn't anticipated. "How?" he muttered incredulously. Mike, the manager, stepped forward, a genuine smile illuminating his weathered face. "Jade, I think you can train here as long as you like." But Tyler wasn't one to admit defeat, nor to give up in front of a woman, especially not a black woman he'd underestimated. With a sudden gesture, he grabbed his gun, a defiant look on his face. "You're just some lucky old ex-military woman, that's all. Let me show you how it's really done." He raised his weapon, lined up with the first target, and fired, narrowly missing the center plate. Subsequent shots were hesitant, some missing the target completely, prompting a wave of jeers from the booth's patrons, now captivated spectators of this involuntary demonstration. Jade smiled, a mixture of satisfaction and controlled calm. "Luck doesn't matter, Tyler," she said softly, but every word rang like an unrelenting truth. "It's discipline, technique, and practice." Around them, the murmur of admiration grew. The scene had shifted. The power of know-how had eclipsed arrogance and contempt. As the weeks passed, Jade became a familiar, almost inescapable presence at the Iron Precision shooting range. Every day, she went there with the same rigor, as if performing a sacred ritual. She fine-tuned her posture, refined her breathing, and recalibrated her movements millimeter by millimeter. Her shots, already precise at first, became faster and more certain, shattering all the records the range had ever known. Little by little, the crowd gathering to watch her shoot grew. From regulars to newcomers, everyone came to admire this calm and focused black woman who embodied a rare mastery. The initial mockers, those who had sneered at her inception, had fallen silent, their arrogance stifled by the constant demonstration of her talent. Some, initially wary, timidly approached her, looking at her with new eyes, and asked for advice. Jade, always humble, willingly shared her knowledge, aware that each shot was also a message against the prejudices that had tried to diminish her. Tyler, on the other hand, continued his clumsy attempts to provoke her. But every time he tried to ignite the flame of confrontation, he left empty-handed, his ego bruised and his pride damaged in front of the audience. His scathing words turned into awkward silence, then visible regret. Jade, on the other hand, didn't revel in these humiliations. Rather, she saw the slow metamorphosis of a man who, despite himself, was learning his lesson. One night, as Jade was packing away her equipment, her hands still bruised from the effort, Mike approached her with a genuine, respectful smile. "You changed this place, Jade," he said quietly. "You showed everyone that talent knows no color or gender." Jade looked up, her eyes shining in the dim light of the booth. She replied simply, a soft smile on her lips. "Thanks, Mike. But this is just the beginning." A few months later, that promise took shape. Jade organized a free workshop for local youth, particularly those from minorities who are often overlooked or stereotyped. She wanted to teach them more than just shooting technique. She wanted to instill in them discipline, self-respect, and the inner strength needed to rise above obstacles. The sessions were intense, punctuated by precise exercises, but also by profound discussions. Jade shared her story, her struggles, her invisible wounds. She wanted each young person to understand that shooting wasn't just a sport or a military skill, but a metaphor for the daily struggle to find a place in a sometimes hostile world. At the end of each workshop, she would repeat tirelessly, "No matter what they say or think, it is your determination and courage that define your worth." Then, one evening, as the room was emptying, Tyler approached her timidly, his gaze shifty but sincere. The arrogance was gone, replaced by a humility rare in him. "Jade, I wanted to apologize. I was an idiot. You taught me a lesson." Jade placed a firm, warm hand on his shoulder, a gesture filled with forgiveness and hope. "This isn't about apologies, Tyler. It's about respect, and that's something you can still learn." In that suspended moment, there was more than just reconciliation. There was the birth of change, fragile but real, the possibility of a future where talent, determination, and humanity transcended the barriers of racism and sexism.